Okay, guys, we'll start the class. As I said in the previous class, we'll start from the basics. So please consider it as class one. So where we work on like creating the objects from the basics. All the last three classes are introduction classes to get some idea on the overall concept, like what is ABAP and how we can apply ABAP. Right? From today onwards, we'll start practicing each concept. Since you are already having some idea about creating a program and creating a table in data dictionary, so we'll start working on data dictionary objects like tables, right? Which you guys are already familiar with by creating the tables. What is the transaction code for a data dictionary? SC11. So what is data dictionary? Data dictionary is a repository where we can manage the database definitions like tables, views. Okay. Okay. So by using this data dictionary, we maintain the data definitions like tables, views, right? So and which are available in the database. Okay. So from where we are accessing it, is it from database level or application level? So we can access database tables from the application layer level using GUI screens, right? You don't need to write any SQL code, right? To create a table or to delete a table or to insert records into a table. So simply we are using a GUI graphical user interface screen where by using some navigations we are able to create the table, right? Now, so what is a table? What is a database table? So you're already aware of database, right? What is a database? So in the database application, we store the data permanently in the form of tables, right? So what is a table? Table contains rows and columns. We store the data in the form of rows and columns. Okay. So we store the data in the form of rows and columns. So to create a table in data dictionary, what are the steps we need to follow? I'll give you a small example like how tables will be used in general in any application. For example, you are submitting a form, right? By using any application, you are entering the details and submitting the form. For example, your employee form. So what does this contains? Employee name, some other details, and once you fill the form at the end, click on save. Once you click on save, the information, whatever the data entered by you, should store somewhere, right? So where it's going to store? So whatever the data you entered in the screen, right? Whatever the data you entered in the screen and click on save, it should be stored somewhere, right? Permanently, so that next time someone can access this data. So where this data will be stored? Database. In the database contains many tables. So within the database, in a specific table, that might be EMP table. So this data will be stored in this employee table, right? So what scenario it is? Insert data. So we are inserting whatever the data entered by the employee into this table. And there will be another scenario where HR wanted to display all the employees who joined on a specific date. HR want to see that data. Maybe at the month end or maybe at the specific point, HR want to see. So who are all the employees joined on a specific day, right? Now, HR will open an application, a screen where they can search for the data. Okay, where they can search for the data. Here, they'll have some inputs like DOJ, a few other inputs if required, they'll be having, and they'll use some search or find option. So whenever they click on the find option, what should this application needs to execute? So whenever we click on this find option, right? Whenever we click on the find option, what is the functionality it should execute? So it should connect with the database table. This application should connect with the database table and needs to find what are all the records available in this database table which are matching with this data of join, right? With the matching data of join, whatever entered by the user, right? And it will display the data in the form of report, in the form of report. Whatever the data matching with this data of join records, right? With this data of join value. So this application should be able to select all those records from the employee table and display here in the form of report. And what scenario it is? Is it insert or read? Are we reading the data or inserting the data here? Reading the data from database table, right? So we are reading the database data from database table and displaying in the application. In the first scenario, we are inserting data into database tables through a application screen. Okay, insert and read. Sometimes we modify also. We modify the data. For example, if there is any correction in the employee name, we modify the data or update the data, right? Correcting the existing data, that is update or modify. Is everyone clear? If you take any example, for example, you are sending an email, right? You are sending an email. So when you open after a month, can you check your email or not? Whatever the email you sent a month ago, can you check it or not? Please respond. Let's say you sent a mail in August and today you opened your mail application and are you able to check your email or not, including attachments? Yes, right? You can check, right? How that is possible? Because whatever the data you are sending, whatever the data you are sending through the email, that is saving somewhere in the database, in some table, in the email related table, right? And when you open the email application, all the email application information is selecting from the database table and displaying in that application screen, right? If the data does not store permanently in some database table, you cannot display it again, right? If you take any application, take your Facebook application, all your images, posts, pictures, and everything will be stored somewhere in the database. When you open your application, right, all those data will be selected from the corresponding database tables and displaying as a Facebook page, right, including your posts, your pictures, and everything, right? Because you are not saving all those posts and images in your laptop, right? You uploaded it from somewhere. Whenever you opened it, you can see all those information because the data is being stored in the backend database. The front-end screens are just applications which will provide the user to enter the inputs and perform the validations, right? Perform the validations, right? Whether the user entered the correct email ID or not, whether the user entered the correct password or not, all the validations will be performed, right? Is everyone clear? So whatever the screens we are using, they are the applications and the data will be stored permanently in database tables. Okay. So if you need to, if you want to create any application, you need to create a screen and a logic for validations and backend database tables, corresponding database tables to store the data, right? Is everyone clear? The application includes screen to enter the data and source code or ABAP code, which is for the validations and to insert the data into database tables and backend database tables and backend database tables to store the data permanently. Okay. So how can we select data from database tables into program level? We have already created a simple program on it. So what is the syntax to select the data from database tables? What is the syntax? Select only, right? Select is the syntax, right? We are using select on the database table to select the database table data into program level. Now let's create a table. First we'll create a database table and later once we are comfortable with creating the database tables, then we go for the application. Okay. Create the application to select or to insert data from data into database tables or select data from database tables into application level. Okay. We'll come from bottom up. Okay. First create the database table and then we'll go for the applications. So what is the transaction code to create data dictionary tables? SC11 is the transaction code. Go to SAP GUI. I'm selecting S4HANA 2022 server. So the recent server is 2023. There will be very minor differences if you compare different versions. For now, you can practice in any server. Open SC11, execute SC11, provide a database table name. So what is a database table? So database table contains rows and columns which stores the data permanently, right? What is a rule to create a table, custom table? Any custom object should starts with Z. Z demo employee. Looks like this table is already there. Someone created this table. Maybe I'll use different naming convention. Z class employee, Z test employee. I'm creating a table to store the employee master data, right? To store the employee master data. What are the steps to create a table? Click on create. Provide the description of the table. What is the purpose of this table? Employee master data table. What is a delivery class? It defines what type of table you are creating. Are you creating a application table, which is for master data and transaction data, or customizing table, which is for the system configurations? And there are other system configuration tables like LGESW, right? If you are creating data for the master data or transaction data, select application table A. Okay. And delivery and maintenance. Do you want to allow to create the records in data dictionary level or not? Right. If you click on allowed, you can create records here in the data dictionary itself by using the content option here. Somewhere in the extras, you can see. Right. Now go to fields. It's very important interview question. Delivery class. So delivery class defines what type of table you are creating. Is it a application table or configuration table? Okay. Application table can be a master table or transaction table. Okay. So mostly we create application tables, which are for the business data. Now go to fields. Now, whatever the fields required to store the information or to store the data, provide all the fields. Okay. Provide all the fields. Please remember, we are not going to keep all the data in a single table. For example, employee master data, employee salary data, employee attendance. We should not keep everything in the same table, right? By adding fields, employee attendance, employee salary, and everything. We should not keep everything in the same table. You should split that information into different tables. For example, employee master data it should be in one table. Employee salary data should be in a separate table, and employee attendance data should be in a separate table, right? Because if you keep all the information in the same table, it will create lot of duplicate records. It will create lot of duplicate records. That's why we create a separate tables for each and individual information, and all the tables are connected with how they are connected with a common field, right? A common field. Let's assume it's a table for employee master data, and we use a separate table for employee salary data. Don't keep all the information in same table. It will create a lot of duplicate records. Okay, and it is not recommended. It will unnecessarily occupy huge space in the database, right? And also it is not easy to maintain the tables if you keep all the information in same table. salary. Now, how these two tables are connected? For example, we know the employee ID. How can we get the employee salary? We need to get employee salary from this table, right? Employee salary table. What is the common field between both tables? Employee ID is the common field. Both tables are connected using employee ID, right? If you know the employee ID, you can get the employee name and employee salary. And we are keeping data in two separate tables. And again, you can have multiple tables, right? And all the tables should connect with a common key field. Okay. For employee data, create employee ID, keep field names as short as possible with some meaningful name. Okay. Make it as a key field. What do we call this key field? Primary key. It is very important. So what is a primary key? It is a first column of the table, and it uniquely identifies the rows of the table. That means two records should not have same primary key value. Okay, two records should not have same primary key value. Primary key value should be unique for each record. Okay, each record. Is everyone clear? So that it will restrict the duplicate record, so that you cannot create same employee record again. It will avoid the duplication of records, right? So at least one primary key is mandatory, and maximum 16 primary keys can be used. Okay, so at least one primary key is mandatory, and maximum 16 primary keys can be used in a single table. Okay, let me show you an example how this primary keys will work. Let me open a spreadsheet. Now let's assume employee ID is the primary key. Now let's assume employee ID is the primary key. I'll highlight this with a different color. Employee ID is the primary key field in this table, right? Now tell me which one is duplicate. There are two records in this table. Now tell me, is it a duplicate record or unique record? Primary key is employee ID. We have only one primary key for this table, that is employee ID. Is it a duplicate record or a unique record? It's a duplicate record. Why? Because the primary key value is repeating, right? Same employee ID is repeating for the other records also. So it is a duplicate record. So table will not allow to create one more record again with the same primary key. Let's assume there is one more primary key, employee name. There are two primary keys in the table. Now tell me, is it a duplicate record or unique record? Is there any duplicate records in the table now? So what is the duplicate record? Second row. But observe this. What is the values? Observe the primary key values. Employee ID is 100 and employee name is name of 100. And observe the second record. Employee ID is 100 and employee name is name of 102. Name of 102. Name is different, right? When you compare with the previous record. Now, observe the combination of both values. Observe the combination of both values. There is no duplicate here because we have two primary keys and employee name is different for the second record. Now, it will combine the value. Combine the both values and check. Combine the both values and check. Is there any duplicate record? No, right? First record is different and second record is different because name is different in the second record, right? And when you check the combination of all primary keys, it is not a duplicate record. Second one is not a duplicate record, right? Is everyone clear? But if you take only employee ID as primary key, then it is a duplicate record because employee ID is repeating, right? But if you take multiple primary keys, you should check the combination of all fields, not only the single field, not only the single primary field. You should check combination of all these fields. Consider these two fields values as a single value and compare with the other value, right? It's not a duplicate record. It's a unique value, right? Because the name is different. Like that, if you take more primary keys, you should check the combination of all primary keys, right? To identify the duplicate records. Clear? Is everyone clear? If you take city also as a primary key. Now, is it a duplicate record? No, right? Cities are different, right? When you compare with the previous record, city is different. Now, here it will check for three combinations. Even name is also same, name of 100, but city is different, right? Is it a duplicate record or unique record? Is there any duplicate record? No, right? Because when you check the three combination of the primary keys, city is different, right? City is different. Compare like this, combine all the values, all three values, and consider it as a single value. Consider it as a single value and compare, is it same value or not? Different, right? City is different. Then there is no duplicate records. By increasing number of primary keys, you need to check all the combinations. Okay. So if you keep only if you keep only less primary keys, you can reduce duplicate records. Like you can reduce more records in the table. But if you keep more number of primary keys, it will improve or it will increase the number of records going to create in a table. It will allow more records. Okay, because if you are using more combination of the values. Is everyone clear how the primary key works? Now, create a table for that employee ID. We need to assign a data type, right? What type of data it is and what is the length. So there is a concept called data elements and domains. We'll discuss that in the next session, that is tomorrow's session. Okay, that's very important. For now, go with built-in types. Go with built-in types which you are already familiar with. Character, what type of data is employee ID? Click on this F4. You can see all the available data types. Since employee ID character data, provide the length. If you don't provide the length, minimum length is one character. Provide the description, employee ID. Assign one more field name, employee name. What type of data it is? Character, right? I'm assigning 40 as the length. Employee name, city, char. You can press this magnifier symbol to check all the available data types, right? Let's assume we have only 3 fields in the table, or we'll consider this as example. Date of join is also there, right? DOJ. Press here to check what is the data type for date. Dates. Always consider date in this format, year, month and day, because SAP's internal date format is year, month and day, right? Double click. You don't need to assign any length. It will automatically assign the length. For date, internal length is 8, external length is 10. Provide the description. Always remember, when you are creating a table, few field names are restricted. Few field names are restricted. For example, month. What it is saying? When I check the syntax, month is a reserved word. Month is a reserved word. Choose another field. Only SAP, only standard SAP applications can use this field name, because this is a reserved word. We cannot use this reserved word. Okay? It will restrict. To avoid this, for example, you can say like this, sal underscore month. Okay? You can change the field name. Some keywords are reserved in SAP when you are creating the tables, right? Use a different name. Okay? I'm deleting this for now. Now, what is the next step? I've maintained the primary keys and the non-primary key fields. What is the next step? Technical settings. Maintain the technical settings. What is the significance of technical settings? Data class. What is the data class? Data class defines what type of table you are creating. Is it a master table or transactional table? What type of table you are creating? Master table. You are creating a master table, right? Select APPL0. So it will define what type of table you are creating. If you want to read more about this field, right? Place the cursor and press F1. It will provide you the technical help. Physical area of database, where of database platforms, like for now ignore it. It's too much technical for now. So just assume what is the type of data we are creating. Is it a master data, transactional data? Size category. What is size category? What are the approximate number of records you are going to store in the table? Analyze this, right? What are the approximate number of records we are going to store in the table? For example, if I select 0, the maximum number of records allowed is 3400. That doesn't mean that it will restrict, right? Once the limit is completed, it will automatically extend. It won't stop you to create new records, right? But it is always recommended to define a proper size category. Okay? Click on save. Go back and activate the table. Your table is ready. Your database table is ready to store the data. To create some sample records, go to utilities, table contents, create entries. Here, you can create some data. So you can create some sample records here for testing. Okay. So let's create some simple records. What is the navigation to create the sample records in the table? Usually in production environment, no one will create records here, right? They'll create through some application screen, right? To create some sample records, utilities, table contents, and create entries. This option will be enabled only if you allow this delivery and maintenance data browser as allowed. Okay. For example, I'm selecting delivery and maintenance allowed with restrictions and activate the table. Now go to utilities, table contents, create entries option is disabled, right? This option is disabled. That's why select allowed if you want to maintain some sample records within the SC11 data dictionary table. So there are very important interview questions from table creation is what is delivery class, what is data class in technical settings, and what is the size category. These three are very, very important questions. Delivery class in delivery and maintenance tab, and from technical settings, data class and size category. Very, very important interview questions. Okay, at least the size category, right? Data class and size category. Okay, so what is size category? It will define approximate number of records we are going to store in the table, right? 0 to 3400. This limit is not constant for all tables. Please observe, this limit is not same for all tables. What is the current limit for 0? What is the current limit for 0 size category? 0 to 3400 records. Let me do some changes to the table. Go to the fields. Uh, for example, for city or for name, I'm increasing the length to 50. I'm increasing the length to 50. And also for city, I'm increasing the length to, or I'll add one more field, phone number. What is the data type we can use for phone numbers? num_c 10, phone. Activate the table. Oh, sorry, I removed length for city. So I've added one more column for the table, one more column for the table, right? Now go to technical settings and observe the size category. There is no change. Maybe I'll add one more field as well. Now observe. Now observe what is the size category. It is decreased, right? Earlier it is 3400, right? Limit for 0. Now it is 2400 only, right? Because size category values are not constant for all tables. The size category range is not same for all tables. Depends on the number of fields you are using in the table and the corresponding data types you are using in the table. It will vary between table to table. Okay. So you need to analyze what is the approximate number of records you are going to store in a table and choose your size category. Depends on that, right? Now I've deleted one column from the table. Now go to check the technical settings. Again, it came back to 3400, right? And if you select 0, that doesn't mean that you are restricting the table to accept only 3400 records limit, right? So once this limit is completed, it will automatically extend the limit. The system will automatically extend the limit, but it will take some time before extending that limit. So there is a little delay, right? To avoid that delay, right? To avoid that delay, right? Always select a proper size category. Now you are creating employee master data, right? How can you select your size category? You are working for a company, like you are creating this master table data for that company requirement. And if you know what are the number of what are the total number of employees in the company, for example, 1500. Total number of employees in the company are 1500. So what is the suitable size category for this table? 0 is enough, right? It will allow 0 to 3400. Even if they hire 100 employees in the next 20, next 2-3 years, so it will be enough, right? 3400 is enough, right? So depends on that analysis, right? Select the proper size category, because if you select unnecessarily 8 as size category or 9 as size category and you are storing only 15 or 1600 records, it will unnecessarily occupy the database space in the backend database, right? So why we are selecting the size category? You are saying that, hey, I need this approximate 1 GB of data in the database table for my employee master data table. So it will allocate that space for you. It will allocate that space in the database for this database table, right? Even you're not using it, without using it, you are unnecessarily occupying that space, right? That's why always select a suitable size category. Okay, it's a very important interview question. And about the data class, it defines what type of data you are going to store in a data. Is it master data or transactional data? Okay, clear? And about primary key will uniquely identify the database records of the table, right? So primary key will uniquely identify the database records of the table. It will avoid duplicate data, okay, duplicate records. And we have a very important concept of data elements and domains and foreign keys that we'll discuss in the next session. Okay, everyone, please try to create a table, uh, any simple table. Take any example and create any simple table. Okay.